So what changed in our society, folks? Because people like this on the left aren't really interested in solving this problem at all. They're interested in taking away your right to defend yourself and you becoming the next victim. Believe me, they don't care one bit about solving this problem. The minute you bring up to them things like that Secret Service study, the DOJ's own study on what the assault weapons ban did or didn't do, they'll call you a racist because they're not interested in the facts. Well, we tried an assault weapons ban and the DOJ said it didn't even work. That's why you should just ignore these people. Ignore them. So what changed? Guns aren't new. Violence isn't new. Matter of fact, societies, Joe loves history. I mean, gosh, they used to do public executions. Before we had civilized constitutional republics, they would draw and quarter people in public and bring kids. So violence isn't new. Violence has plagued the human heart since we were Homo sapiens sapiens. So what happened? Well, there's some answers. Liberals just don't want them. Folks, what changed? As I said, guns aren't new. Violence isn't new. So why now? Why do we have adults and kids who, listen, if you have kids, listen, this may not be the time for them. I have to be straight with you. This segment's going to be a little rough. So just give me a 3 count there. What does it take for some sociopath to stare down the barrel of a pistol or a rifle and to fire a round into a kid? You understand the level of pure sociopathic evil you're talking about here? What societal factors have calcified in this society that have led kids to do this repeatedly? Folks, listen, forget that we don't do talking points on this show. I'm not a liberal media goon. This is a real problem. And it seems to be happening a lot here. But it's not the guns. Guns have always been there. It's not the violence. Well, if you look at the data, you'll see some indicators. The Wall Street Journal, you may have heard about this poll, put out one of the most troubling polls you're ever going to see. Now, I know what you're going to say. Dan, you're still long on America? I am. We have been in the cultural pits before and we've turned it around. But I got to tell you, folks, if we're not hitting rock bottom, we're getting there soon. They put a poll out there about what we as Americans, what we value, what we find meaning in. You'd think it'd be family, religion, faith, God. No. Here, look at the results. Patriotism, back in 1998, 70% of people valued patriotism. What's it now? 38%. People found, in 1998, 62% found meaning in religion. 39% now. Basically, folks, nearly cut in half. People who valued having children and attachment to the world, 59% down to 30%. People who valued community involvement peaked out at 62%, now down to 27%. Yet people who value money went from 31% to 43%. These aren't alarming data. They're terrifying data. Now, unsurprising to anyone who's been following partisan politics, there is an enormous partisan divide. These numbers are far more grave amongst Democrats and independents than they are amongst Republicans, who preach, as a bedrock value, love of country. However, they're not great for Republicans either. Folks, I want to ask you this. What did you expect here? What did you expect? We're now combining meaningless lives, people who care about money over faith, patriotism, love of country. They have no attachment. Keep in mind to what this poll means, to anything larger than themselves. Patriotism and attachment to country. Religion and attachment to faith, God. Children and attachment to kids. Community involvement and attachment to your neighborhood. All gone. You have atomized individuals who exist only in this little cocoon with no attachment to anything else. If you have no attachment to anything else, ladies and gentlemen, you have no attachment. What's the old line? When you have kids, the world has hostages. It's meant to be a joke. But no, there's something deeper there. When you have kids, Joe, you can acknowledge better than anyone. You know this. The world is different to you. All of a sudden, you say to yourself what Joe and I say all the time. Gosh, I probably shouldn't do that. We're all sinners. And you know what? If I did, how would my kids see it? You don't do that when you don't have kids. I'm not saying you don't weigh consequences, but I'm telling you, when you see something through the eyes of your kids, it has a profound effect on your psyche and it changes you. Am I going to embarrass my neighbors? Am I going to embarrass my church? You have no attachment to any of that. You have this meaningless life. There's no desire for you to do something bigger or to change the world. Why? Joe, because you don't care about it. It's only about you. Why would you care? Be a doctor, a preacher. Want to go in the military, defend my country. Why would you want to do any of this? You don't care. If it's not about the money. Look at the poll. They care about the money.